LocalBozo.com is proud to have with us as our guest for an exclusive interview, lead vocals from Egypt Central, John Falls. John, how you doing today?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
We're doing real good over here, man. Thanks. Before we get started, I'm sure you've been asked this a million times. Can you talk a little bit about the band's name? How did you guys come up with Egypt Central?
You know, most bands, when they're trying to come up with a name, always try to pick something that has to do with their sound. And I feel like I pick on like really hard metal bands when I give this example, and I don't mean to, because I'm a huge metal fan. We're all huge metal fans, so I don't mean it like that. But you know, there's certain bands. It's like like a band like Bury Your Dead or something like that. It's like, how would that name apply if in 10 years they go a completely different direction musically? You know, they'd probably have to start a new band, right? Mm-hmm. So rather than pick a name like that would have, represented what we sounded like when we first came together, we decided to pick a name that was more about where we were from and who we were. And so we picked a street name from here in Memphis. It was a pretty rough area that I grew up in, and it was a way to just remember, hey, no matter what happens to us, good or bad through this, we'll always still be friends. We'll always still be the same dudes that started out in Memphis, Tennessee, in '02. So it's just to us, it was a good way to just remember, yourselves through what tends to be a pretty crazy journey in the music business.
Not to get all political on you guys, but with so much going on in the Middle East, was there ever an oh shit moment, we better change the name of this band?
Actually, even before some of that stuff even started going on, I guess it wasn't really before, because I guess it was post 9/11. We had different record labels and stuff like, oh, you guys are going to have to change that name. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, Egypt is not a terrorist, cell. It's a pretty awesome country. I mean, and if you watch it just turn on, I mean, they're liberating themselves. I mean, they're very similar to us, and they want their freedom, and they're willing to fight for it. So, I don't really get into political stuff or anything like that, but I would say anytime somebody is willing to stand up and fight for their own freedom, dude, I've more power to them.
Yeah, of course, totally. Now, a little bit musically, the band's self-titled debut took a considerable amount of time to get released, and the second album, White Rabbit, comes out on May 17th. Took a lot less time. Can you talk about writing and recording your sophomore album?
Well, yeah. To be to be honest, it was actually so far it's been a lot less on a scale. It's definitely a smaller struggle this time to get this record out. It's just not really no smaller. It's just a different struggle. Like most of the time, an artist for their first release, I think that they've had a lifetime to write that first record, and then they get rushed into their sophomore, it's like, oh, hey, you guys had a good record, blah, 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 go to the studio, let's make another one, and they're not ready for it, as to where we made that record, and then it took us years, like you were saying, it took years and years to finally get it out to the general public. So we had all that time that we were fighting trying to get that record out to be writing. So by the time we got in for our second record, we had more material coming in for this than we did going in for the first record. Because the first record, we'd only been together 8 months when we made that record. So we actually had more time for the writing, but obviously less time, for everything else. But it was awesome though, because like I said, those years that it took trying to get that record out, gave us ample time to create what we wanted to create and make the record that we really wanted to make, and find the right producer and all the right team members.
So what can fans expect from the new album White Rabbit?
If you've seen us before, you know that we like to throw down live. That's like one of our secret weapons, so to speak, is that when we hit the stage, we're going to be in your face, guaranteed, and we're going to make sure that you have a good time. And that was something that we wanted to capture in the recording. We wanted to incorporate that aggressiveness and that energy into the, physical recording of the song, not just the live performance. So I think that's what we really tried to make happen with this one, and I feel like we definitely accomplished that. I feel like we, when you listen to it, I think that this record is edgier than the first record. I think it's even in a lot of spheres than the first record. And I think that the songwriting matured to a different level, touched on some new topics, as well as some familiar topics. I just think that overall we made a record that is 10 times stronger than the first record, and I honestly didn't know if we were going to be able to live up to what we did on the first record, because even though the first record wasn't some huge home run smash that everybody in the world owns, I think that's just because the majority of people still haven't heard that record. I think that if they heard it, that they would really fall in love with what we did there. And for us, it didn't matter who had heard the record and who hadn't. We knew what we felt like we accomplished on the first record, so we felt like we had a lot to live up to. And I think that we all walked away from the recording process very satisfied with what we had accomplished.
Okay, right on. We first became aware of the band after the release of You Make Me Sick, which today is still one of our favorite rock songs of the last 5 years. Were you feeling any pressure in following up with another big song on this record?
Not really. I mean, I think there's always pressure, but I think that we put more pressure on ourselves and on each other to do better than what we've done before than, say, anyone else has, on the first record, the first time it actually hit radio was Over and Under, and it did pretty good for us. And then You Made Me Sick came out really, really well for us, and then Take Me Down came out, and it still did, pretty good. So there's really no way to predict. I mean, what is and what isn't a big song anymore. I don't think. I think it's a lot of it has to do with timing, and it really has to do with the fans, and what they're into when they hear it. If they hear it and they connect to it, then that's what will naturally become big for the artist and for the entire movement. I would say that I probably heard 10 songs I know in the last year that I didn't know whether it was going to be, like, there would be 5 of which I thought was going to be big, and it did okay, and probably which I thought could do okay, and they went really big, and then some of them are so easy that when you hear them, you're just like, wow, that's a kick-ass tune, and it's going to be big, I really feel like we've got quite a few of those on this record, though, so keep my fingers crossed.
Talk a little bit about how Egypt Central got paired up with the guys from Cold for this coming tour.
Well, first thing is that we heard that Cold was going out, and we were asked if we were interested in trying to submit for the tour. And, we were like, hell yeah. We were like, because we heard, it's like, dude, the band's back together. It's their first studio record. It's being released in, quite a few years. And we were all fans of Cold, So I was like, hell yeah. I mean, this is like one of my favorite bands, getting back together and making a new record. I was completely excited about, even having the opportunity to be in the conversation for a potential, tour. And, we were fortunate enough to share the same booking agent, and had friends, between their label and our label, and their management and our management. So I think that both parties were pretty excited about having the opportunity to put the bands together, and I know for me, I was just ecstatic to have the opportunity. I couldn't, I'm still in shock about it, because like I said, I've been such a fan. They're bands that we've toured with. I mean, we toured with everybody from Disturbed and 3 Days Grace and Seether and Shinedown, but there are certain bands that like you really identified with, and they had quite a few songs that were pretty special to me a couple of years ago. So I'm really excited to actually finally get to see those performed live, even just as a fan. You know, I'll definitely be out front.
Awesome. Well, we definitely look forward to seeing you out there. The tour comes through locally at the Gramercy Theater right here in Manhattan on Tuesday, March 22nd. Tickets are available now. John, any cities or venues that you get jitters before? Is it special for a Memphis band to come up here and play New York City?
Well, yeah. I mean, of course, it's special. I mean, you know, it's like I met a couple blues musicians from New York that got to come to Memphis and play on Bill Street a couple years ago, and they were, you know, and for them that was like the greatest thing ever. So, you know, to be obviously, you know, like when you get to New York, it's there's nowhere not like New York, you know. So you can always tell it's just like, you know, with music, people are you're normally either a Beatles type of fan or you're an Elvis type of fan. You normally don't like both of those, you know. And it's kind of like that with the market. I mean, like LA's great, dude, but LA is for LA type people. New York is for New York type people, and I would say my bass player loves both pretty equally. Just kind of a beach guy, but Blake and I, we would definitely take New York over anywhere else, just because it's so fast paced, man. It never stops. It's amazing. It's probably my single favorite place to go in the world, just because of it. I think if you live there, you probably see it all the time, so you probably take it for granted. But if you don't live there, I mean, just when you're flying into New York or you're driving in, it's just like, oh my Lord, look at that thing. I mean, I'm really excited to come back. We got to actually play Gramercy once before, the Blender Theater, and it was great, but it's going to be awesome to get to come back there with Cold and spend the night in New York, man.
So is there anything else you want to add for the readers of localbozo.com?
Man, just go and add us on Twitter and on Facebook, and you know, we're always putting up, you know, hilarious stuff that we've got going on that we're doing on the road, or that, you know, that we're doing to one another. Even we're always putting fun stuff up for the fans, and we're always, you know, we try to be as interactive as possible and communicate with everyone. They can listen to some tunes, and we'll be posting the videos soon, so people should definitely add us and keep up with us.
All right, man, awesome. Fans, come out and support Egypt Central when they come through Manhattan with Cold on Tuesday night, March 22nd at the Gramercy Theater. Their new album, White Rabbit, drops everywhere on May 17th. Check out EgyptCentral.com for touring info and more information. And John, thanks so much for giving us a couple minutes today at localbozo.com. Best of luck with the new album and the tour.
Thanks for having me, man.